What are some highlights for you of this beautiful year that we've had?
Well, there's so many things. It's been a time for me to kind of reflect on that, and time has moved so quickly, you know. But as you go back to the beginning of the year and through the course of the year, there have been so many events that kind of just kind of come to my memory as I kind of thank God for the things that have happened here in the diocese. One thing principally, of course, was this was the year when we were celebrating in earnest the 50th anniversary of the Diocese of Brownsville, when we were able to kind of, as a church, in different ways, in different moments, reflect on that history when in 1965, the Diocese of Brownsville was established formally with the coming and the announcement of the first bishop, Bishop Marks. So we had a number of moments in the church, in outdoor mass, where everyone was invited there at the Basilica of San Juan to commemorate the establishment of the diocese. But also there were some different things that were organized, tours, historical tours that many people participated in. So it was a time just to be thankful to God for these 50 years. Of course, the church in the Rio Grande Valley has a long history, and it goes back into the early part of the 19th century. But when the church kind of came to maturity is kind of what we were celebrating. One thing that I was particularly moved by was family members of Bishop Marks, who was the first bishop of the Diocese of Brownsville, came, some of them from Germany, to be present at a mass at Immaculate Conception Cathedral on the anniversary of his death, which was All Saints' Day this year. And so it was a very touching expression of that link to Bishop Marks, who really served here only for a brief time because he left for the Second Vatican Council after his announcement as the Bishop of Brownsville, the first bishop, and then of course he passed away shortly thereafter. But it was a time for us to reflect and to be thankful and really to be hopeful in the continued growth of the church.
Yes, what I mean, it just seems like it went so quickly. And as you mentioned, we really have a long history of Catholicism here in the Rio Grande Valley. Some people would say 50 years. It seems like it, but as you're saying,
exactly. You know, people often ask me about that, and I will say things. Well, you know, the church has grown so rapidly. 50 years ago, a little over 50 years ago, all of South Texas, from Corpus Christi to Laredo down to Brownsville, the whole southern sort of quadrant of Texas was one diocese. It was the Diocese of Corpus Christi, and before that, it was one ecclesiastical territory of the Vicariate of Brownsville, and so over the years. That kind of was divided up because of the growth, and so the first big division in all of South Texas was when Brownsville was established and separated from Corpus Christi and given its own bishop. And then more recently, in the year 2000, of course, the Diocese of Laredo was established. But so now we have three dioceses with three different bishops and three different sort of expressions of church life in what was originally just 50 years ago one big territory.
So much history here.
Yeah.
So much.
Oh yes, tremendous. We have so much to be grateful for. The work of so many religious women, the Oblate Fathers, and so many who just helped to kind of cultivate the life of the faith here, and really has had a big impact as we continue to see the expression of faith, especially the kindness and generosity of our people, which I'm convinced is an expression of the grace of the gospel that has been here for quite a long time.
I'm always amazed that so many of these missionaries, or all these missionaries, came blind to this area. I mean, blind in the sense that they didn't have Google Maps or Google Earth, so that they could zoom in and see, okay, where exactly am I going, and can I get a little feel for what this is? They came trusting on their faith.
Oh, it's that missionary spirit which is so exemplary, and something which I think Pope Francis wants us to kind of, all of us, to kind of take to heart as an example for us all. But I think of the Incarnate Word Sisters or the Oblate Fathers, who came, many of them originally from France, who had never, I mean, they'd heard about Texas, but in the 1850s or the 1860s, it wasn't much information except maybe what would occasionally appear in newsprint in Europe, and so and yet there was that great spirit of adventure that was able to pull people to say, well, no, we go with God, and it will be an adventure in a certain way, an adventure in the faith, and an adventure, and it certainly has borne much fruit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we said that this has been an incredible year. September, August seemed, particularly with the celebration of the outdoor mass, and in addition to that, a virtual visit.
Yes, we had a virtual visit from the Holy Father when we received word. I received word a few days before, that the Holy Father wanted to come and appear live to the at Sacred Heart Church in McAllen, as part of a wider program that he was willing to participate in advance of his pastoral visit to the United States. And so ourselves, together with a site in Chicago and also in Los Angeles, we were able to kind of really, our people there in McAllen, especially our volunteers who have worked so generously for the Refugee Center, for all of the Central American mothers and children who've been assisted by the work of the church there in McAllen and the work of so many people in cooperation, that the Holy Father wanted to express his gratitude, but he also wanted to hear from people, and that was really very touching. It was probably one of the best kept secrets in the country, because nobody knew except myself and a couple of other people. Sister Norma, obviously, who was deeply involved in the preparation. Even the folks who were in the church that morning knew something was going to happen, but we were not absolutely sure exactly how it was going to work until basically the cameras came on, and then the program continued. It was very touching. I talked to many people who saw the program on ABC News later that week, and were very touched by it. It was a very moving expression of the Holy Father's love and concern and his encouragement, especially to young people. So that had a huge impact, and of course it was a year when we continued to kind of see that work of Catholic social outreach, Catholic Charities, Sister Norma's team, really, that has worked so hard to kind of address some of the ongoing needs. I mean, certainly the work of the Refugee Center, but we've had also other issues. I mean, there's been some widespread flooding in the Rio Grande Valley, and so we tried to address that. And most of our churches have been or will be taking up a second collection to assist with that relief in some ways. But these are things that we've lived, and of course, certainly, firmly sort of engraved in my mind is of course the Holy Father's visit to the United States. I was able to go to Washington, D.C., where the Pope wanted to visit with all of the bishops of the United States. There's over 300 of us, and we were able to meet with him there at St. Matthew's Cathedral and to participate in the Mass of the canonization of Junipero Serra. And so many people, and his presence. I was very happy to be able to be one of the bishops, to be able to greet him personally and to thank him for coming to the United States. And also I thanked him for the virtual visit in McAllen. And then I was able to go on to the visit of the Holy Father in Philadelphia and to greet him again there. So it was so much of what he said. I'm still reflecting, and I'm thinking about, and I'm trying to take to heart so much of what he said to us in that gentle and generous manner which he has. And so the Holy Father obviously is a great pastor, and he is a great example, I think, to us bishops as to how to conduct ourselves in terms of serving the good of the church.